GeoVis3D is software for measurement and annotation of virtual three-dimensional geological models. GeoVis3D is distributed as a zip file, so the first thing you'll need to do is to uncompress the file. So we will extract all here and extract it to the current location. And once it's finished extracting, we can then look at the GeoVis distribution directory. If you go into the GeoVis3D, in this case beta 1.9 directory, there are two subdirectories, one for Mac and one for Windows. GeoVis3D operates almost identically on Macs and Windows. However, in this example, I'm going to illustrate the operation of the program using the Windows version. So double click into the Windows directory, and in there is the main executable for the file. GeoVis3D requires no further installation. It will run directly from this executable file. First thing to do then is to double click on the executable, and GeoVis3D then pops a configuration window. This is providing us information about how we wish GeoVis to run. The screen resolution I'm going to elect to choose is the highest available on my screen, 1920 by 1080. There are a couple of other options for graphics quality. I usually just run it in fastest. It doesn't seem to make much difference. And in addition, there's a button on the right hand side for running in windowed mode. If that button is unchecked, it will run in full screen mode. If I check the button, it will then run in a windowed mode. So I'll elect in this case to run it in full screen mode. So hit play to now operate GeoVis3D. As you can see, GeoVis3D has been developed utilizing the game engine Unity. The main GeoVis3D screen now pops up and gives us a couple of options. In this particular case, we don't wish to load a pre-existing session because we do not have a pre-existing session, so we'd like to create a new session. A little later we'll look at some of the options in the settings menu. So click on New Session and the file chooser becomes active. One thing to note about the current file chooser in GeoVis3D is that it will only enable you to select files that lie on the same current physical drive as the executable program. So in this case, in the case of my computer, it's running on the C drive, and so I'll only be able to see files on the C drive. The file chooser in this case does not require you to double click. Single clicks will enable you to move up or to reselect a directory. In this case I wish to work in the temp directory, and I'll scroll down to open a file. The files in this case that GeoVis3D can accept are Google Earth KMZ files, but it only currently accepts Google Earth KMZ files that have been developed utilizing the common photogrammetry software PhotoScan. Many KMZ files of this form are available for download on the AusGeol website. So in this case we'll open harveys2.kmz, which is a virtual outcrop from Kangaroo Island in South Australia. It takes a few seconds to load. This is about a 20 megabyte file, and what you can see in the screen now is the three-dimensional model on the left-hand side. The GeoVis screen is broken up into a number of panes. The left center pane is the pane in which the model is displayed. Up at the top is information about the model itself. The default view option brings us back to the current view, and the default view is to look vertically downwards onto the model. In the top right hand corner is a StereoNet display, and a little later when we start making measurements, the measurements will appear automatically in the StereoNet, and they will also appear automatically in the data table beneath it. On the bottom left hand corner of the display are two buttons, one that is utilized to choose the sampling mode, how we select features in the model or how we annotate features in the model, and another one to select the type of feature that we want to work with. So in this case S0 for bedding. So in GeoVis3D it's important to be able to move the model around. One way that can be accomplished is utilizing the mouse, and if you hold the left mouse button down, you can now move the model around in three-dimensional space. You have the ability to rotate the model around a number of different axes. At the moment you'll notice that the movement of the model is relatively slow. To access the main GeoVis menu, hit the Escape key, and in the Escape key we'll go into the Settings options. The Settings options has sensitivity options for the mouse and also for the keyboard. So I want to increase the sensitivity for the mouse, and while we're here we'll also increase the keyboard sensitivity as well. So there are two different sensitivity dials, one for pan and rotate and a second sensitivity for zoom. Now resume the session to return back to the model. So now with the left mouse button I can grab the model and I can move it around and view it in 3 dimensions. If you wish to rotate the model utilizing the keyboards, then the keyboard keys to rotate the model are Q, W, E, A, S and D. So pressing the Q button now, and the E button reverses the operation of Q, W spins in that orientation, S is its companion, the A key rotates around yet another axis, and the D key is the opposite of the A key. In the model window, if you wish to pan the model, the easiest way to do that on the mouse is to hold down the right mouse button and you can move the model up, down, left or right. The small white dot in the center of the screen is the center of the viewport, the three-dimensional viewport, and usually it helps to have the model centralized around that point such that the model spins in an intuitive manner when you move the mouse. It's possible also to move the model, to pan the model using keyboard keys, and in this case the arrow key, left and right arrows will enable you to move the model, up and down arrows will enable you to move the model in other directions. To zoom the model with a 3-button mouse, utilize the roller in the middle of the 3-button mouse. So zooming in, zooming out on the model, and the same thing can be achieved by utilizing the plus key on the keyboard or the minus key on the keyboard. So those are the basic instructions for how to load a model into GeoVis and the basic instructions for moving around within the model viewport. In the next short video we'll look at how to make basic measurements on the surface of the model.